As Unitarian Universalists, we believe truth is larger than any one book or way. Religion and science go hand in hand. Integrity requires freedom of conscience. Diversity is something to celebrate. In the struggle for justice, we come alive. Our highest aspiration and calling is love. Stars keep watch when night is dim. One more light the bowl shall brim, shining beyond the frosty weather, bright as sun and moon together. People look east and sing today, love, the star is on the way. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever path you are on, you are welcome here. Once per month this year, we are lighting our chalice in honor of people whose justice work in Cleveland or beyond, today or yesterday, reflect the best of our Unitarian Universalist values. Their work embodies our commitment to love and service. Our Justice Sheroes today are Marcia P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, Miss Major Griffin Gracie, and Stormy DeLarveri. Marcia, Sylvia, and Miss Major were trans women of color, and Stormy was a biracial butch lesbian and drag king. All of these people stood on the front lines of the Stonewall riots in 1969. They fought police harassment. Their bravery and activism laid the groundwork for modern LGBTQ+ rights movement, inspiring future generations, including activists like Harvey Milk and Cleve Jones, to rise up and demand equality and liberation. It is said, dripping water hollows out stone, not through force, but through perseverance. Let the persistence and courage of Marcia P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, Miss Major Griffin Gracie, and Stormy DeLarveri ignite our chalice today. And I think you should applaud to that. That's our little holy sound. Isn't that wonderful? A tinkling. Hey, welcome. Good morning. How are you? Welcome to West Shore. Best place to be on a Sunday morning in Cleveland. And it's cold out there, but warm in here. We're so glad you're here. We've got so much going on as a congregation. Check out your West Shore Weekly, the insert in your order of service to find out what some of these things are, ways you can get involved, make connections, grow your spirit. That is what we are all about. Now, West Shore loves the holidays. Y'all love the holidays? Okay. Ooh, that was not unanimous. Well, they can be tiring too, I understand that. But we love the holidays, and I want to invite you to some of our upcoming celebrations of the season. On Christmas Eve, consider joining us for one or all, if you like, of our Christmas Eve celebrations. 5 p.m. family service. This is a participatory pageant service of songs and stories, fun for all ages. Everyone is invited to bring cookies to share after this service. Then there's the 7 p.m. jazz service. Now, you may know that music director Dave Blazer has played jazz classics for years at Cleveland's famous Velvet Tango Room. Did you know that? Yeah. And he's going to bring that unique vibe with some friends, some musical friends. It's going to be great. It's a unique vibe to Christmas Eve at West Shore. You will love it. Then there's the 9 p.m. carols and candlelight service. Beautiful, light, warmth, joy. We're going to share that together. It'll be a perfect way to set the tone for an unforgettable holiday season. All of these services will culminate in a gorgeous candle lighting ritual. I just always love that. On the Sunday following Christmas, come join us for our annual Labyrinth Walk. We're going to say goodbye to 2025 and hello to 2026 with a spiritually moving and invigorating experience involving our congregation's labyrinth. Have you seen our congregation's? It just covers almost the entirety of Baker Hall, that floor. If you've never come, you got to check this out. That will be our worship service for that Sunday. Drop in anytime between 10 and noon, and we will be in Baker Hall. Now, let me ask, if you are here for the first or second time and you do not mind people knowing, raise your hand and let us greet you. Hey, thanks for coming. And if you're an introvert like I am, I really am, I wouldn't have raised my hand. So good for you guys, brave. And if you didn't raise your hand, we're glad you're here too. Let us now pass the peace and greet each other warmly. Children and youth grades K through 12 can leave for their classes right now. The greeting time will end with the soundings of the bowl. You ready? Let's do it. We come to this good morning, remembering the journey of freedom. The land we are on was once another's. We mourn the legacies of oppression. Healing is our way forward. Joy is the birthright of all.
Good morning, friends. It's that time of year again when the season when the lights go up, cookies multiply, and receipts grow longer than Santa's naughty and nice list. It's a time when generosity becomes so automatic that sometimes even Amazon, I'm not sure about this, but pauses to ask, "Are you sure you want to buy that many things?" And underneath all the glitter and bustle, the season keeps whispering quietly, persistently, that giving is not a transaction. It's one of the oldest ways human beings have ever kept hope alive. Across traditions, this is the season of light returning, of solstice candles and Hanukkah flames, of Kwanzaa principles and fresh New Year's beginnings, of people everywhere trying to push back the darkness with small, faithful acts of warmth and generosity. Because the winter earns its reputation, it's long, it's dark. It's the time of year when a surprising number of us have very dramatic relationships with our thermostat. And yet every winter, humanity does something remarkable. We gather, we make light, we exchange gifts, we show up with food, we choose community over isolation, connection over hibernation, and goodwill over grumpiness. Well, mostly the grumpiness. It turns out that the antidote to darkness has never been perfection or certainty, or figuring out the heating system on the first try. The antidote has always been generosity, generosity of spirit, generosity of time, and yes, generosity of resources. So today, when we take our offering, we're not just keeping the lights on in the building, although the lights do appreciate that fact. We are contributing to a community that teaches our children, cares for one another through heartbreak and joy, creates music that lifts us, builds justice in the world, and reminds us every week that we are not alone as we make our way through these longest nights. Giving here is not about dues or obligations. It is one more candle in the season of light. So give as you are able, with generosity and humor, gratitude and open hands, and with just enough holiday cheer to make the Christmas angels raise their eyebrow. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. Today's reading is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 2. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all of Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all of the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. "In Bethlehem in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judea, are by no means least among the rulers of Judea, for out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people of Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully. As soon as you find him, report to me that I too may go and worship him." After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them, until it stopped over a place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshiped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. When they had gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. "Get up, take the child with his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you Herod is going to search for the child to kill him." So he got up, took the child and his mother during the night, and left for Egypt, where he stayed until the death of Herod. And so was fulfilled that the Lord said through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I called my son." When Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. Here ends today's reading.
Let us now join together for our beautiful community ritual of "For All That Is Our Lives." Our hearts are heavy this morning, not only with the cares of our private lives, but with public grief, public sorrow. We hold the victims and families of the shooting at Brown University in Providence. We hold the Jewish community in Sydney after the attack at a Hanukkah gathering at Bondi Beach. We hold all who are mourning the sudden deaths of filmmaker and actor Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle Singer Reiner. And we hold, too, the unnamed sorrows we carried in before we ever heard this news. Together we bear witness. Together we grieve. And through our tears, we renew our commitment to a better world by tending to that part of the world that is ours, our families, our neighborhoods, our community, our Cleveland, wherever you may be from. Grief teaches us what we care about, and what we care about is worth protecting. It is worth healing. It is worth loving into being. All our sorrows, all our joys. I'll take them into my meditations this week, and I will pray for all that is our lives. Letter to Herod the Great. Dear Herod, every December your shadow lengthens across the Christmas story. People hiss at the mention of your name, or they ought to. You carry the role of the villain, the figure who stalks the edges of the manger scene, the embodiment of fear and cruelty in a story otherwise filled with angels and wonders and visions of peace. But today I want to speak to you differently, not to excuse what you represent, but to understand it more deeply. Because when I speak to you, Herod, I am also speaking to the parts of ourselves and our world that tremble before change, grasp for control, and lash out when identity feels threatened. You are not simply a man lost in ancient history. You are an archetype that walks with us still. The Gospel of Matthew says that when the Magi, those mysterious travelers from the east following a star, when they came to you in Jerusalem, you were frightened, and all Jerusalem with you. They arrived asking a simple question, though they had no idea how explosive it was. Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? A new king, a rival, a different future than the one you sought to control. And when you heard their question, a shudder ran through the city, and that detail has always struck me, and all Jerusalem with him, not because they loved you. You were never a beloved king. But they knew what happened when fear seized your heart. You were unpredictable. You were volatile, capable of brutality. When the powerful panic, ordinary people pay the price. Fear radiates downwards in every authoritarian system. It always has. Herod, historians tell us something important here. The slaughter of the innocents, the mass killing of infants in Bethlehem almost certainly never happened. You were ruthless, yes, but your ruthlessness tended towards targeted executions, not village-level slaughters. Matthew's story is not historical reportage. It is theological interpretation. It casts you as a new Pharaoh in a retelling of the Moses story to show that Jesus is a new Moses and that liberation is once again stirring under the nose of empire. But even if the details didn't unfold as Matthew describes them, the spiritual truth remains. You were a man whose fear dictated the lives of everyone around you. And that pattern, your pattern, still lives today. Let's start with your fear, Herod. You were terrified at losing power, terrified of being forgotten, terrified of being displaced. Even though Rome propped you up, even though you built monumental cities, fortresses, palaces, and even rebuilt the temple itself, still, you lived with a gnawing insecurity. You were Idumean by birth, not Jewish, ruling a people who knew you did not belong to the line of David. You married into the Hasmonean dynasty to try to legitimize yourself. But no amount of ceremony could silence the quiet accusation that you were an outsider, a pretender, a man perched on a throne that was not truly yours. That kind of insecurity provokes its own kind of violence. It makes a person cling to control with white-knuckle desperation. It convinces a person that vulnerability equals annihilation. It persuades a person that any threat, even a rumor, even a child, must be crushed swiftly and without mercy. This is why, when the Magi came to you in good faith, telling you that they had seen a star signaling the birth of a new king, you could not hear it as good news. You could only hear it as catastrophe. You called the chief priests and scribes to interpret the prophecy. You sent the Magi on their way with false friendliness and secret malice. And when they saw through your ruse and never returned, your fear erupted into fury. This is the tragic arc of fear when it is fused to power. Curiosity dies first, then compassion, then discernment, and finally, innocent lives are swept up into the storm. And yet, the most haunting part is this: your fear did not make you powerful, it made you fragile. Strong on the outside, yes, but hollowed out on the inside. Ruled not by sovereignty, but by panic. And here is where I must say it, Herod. You are not just someone who lived 2,000 years ago. You are the archetype of the fearful ego, the rigid self that cannot bear to be displaced. You are the part of every human heart that believes control is the only path to survival. You are the voice that whispers, if I am not on the throne, I am nothing. We all have a Herod inside us. The place that is terrified of change, even holy change. The place that would rather cling to a familiar misery than risk unfamiliar freedom. The place that when invited into new possibility, reaches not for courage but for hostility. This is how Herod survives in the modern psyche. Not as a long ago villain, but as the fear that kills possibility before it draws its first breath. But you also live in the world around us, Herod. Not just within the private chambers of the soul. Every society generates its Herods. Leaders who weaponize fear, who treat dissent as treason, who punish the vulnerable, who grasp for attention as though gasping for air. Leaders who cannot imagine a world that is not centered around them. We see it in public life today. We see it in leaders who stir grievance like a simmering pot, who cultivate paranoia, who speak of enemies everywhere, and even in the face of public tragedy, refuse to acknowledge our common humanity and only double down on meanness. We see the breathless swirl of conspiracy, the threats against judges, journalists, and neighbors, the demonizing of entire groups, accusations against others meant to distract attention from the sad fact that those accusations are in truth direct admissions of guilt. We know the Herod pattern. We know what it feels like when anxiety at the top spreads through a community like wildfire. We know how institutions buckle under the pressure of a leader's insecurity. We know what it is like when someone's private panic becomes everyone's public problem. So what do we do, Herod? How do we live with clarity and courage in a time when modern Herods seek not only thrones, but also residency in our heads and hearts? First, we do not deny the danger. Advent is not sentimental. It is a quiet revolution whispered in a dangerous world. Mary and Joseph flee to Egypt because danger is real. The Magi go home by another road because danger is real. Even the child you feared is born into vulnerability, not privilege. But danger is not the whole story, and fear is not the deepest truth. So second, we protect our inner Bethlehem, the vulnerable place where something new, hopeful, and divine is being born within us. We do not allow tyrants, ancient or modern, to determine our imagination. We do not give them the power to define our emotional landscape. We do not let them live rent-free in our heads. Herod, your fear was contagious, but hope can be contagious too. Courage can be contagious. Sanity can be contagious. Resilience can be contagious. Communities can build a different emotional climate than the one offered by those who cling to power through fear. This does not mean disengaging from public life. It means engaging from a grounded center rather than a reactive one. It means anchoring ourselves in values rather than panic. It means recognizing that although Herods rise in every generation, the world is always and forever on the brink of Bethlehem. And now, Herod, we must turn to something people may not want to hear: the psychological power of your role. Stories need villains. Not to glorify evil, but because human beings grow through complication, crisis, and resolution. Neuroscientists tell us that our dreams rehearse danger thousands of times over a lifetime. Tens of thousands of threatening episodes while we sleep, preparing us to wake up to the real world with adaptive courage. Children, when they first begin telling stories, fill them with danger: being lost, chased, stolen, bitten, falling. It is as though the human soul knows instinctively that adversity is a furnace for growth. Our best stories, the ones that endure, understand this. If fiction were mere escapism, as some say, then stories would be filled with wish fulfillment, ease, pleasure, and comfort. But they aren't. They are often horrorscapes of suffering, risk, betrayal, and courage. Fiction does not remove us from trouble. It plunges us into trouble in order to enlarge us. Herod, this is your role. You are the crisis that sharpens the contours of the story. You are the pressure that reveals character. You are the threat that summons bravery. You are the darkness that makes the star shine more brightly. Without you, the Magi are just travelers. Joseph is just a quiet man, and Mary is simply a young mother rather than a figure of extraordinary trust. Without you, Jesus is born into comfort, and comfort smothers the call to become a hero. You are not the heart of the story, Herod, but you are the antagonist that makes the heart visible. It makes me wonder how the hearts of people today, facing contemporary Herods, are being made visible. And yet, and I must acknowledge this, you didn't have to be this way. You were not doomed to being the villain, Herod. You were simply unwilling to imagine yourself any other way. Your role as an antagonist was not chosen for you, it was chosen by you. Another Herod might have heard the Magi's question with curiosity rather than with terror. Another Herod might have wondered whether God was doing something new that did not require his destruction. Another Herod might have asked, what if this child is not my rival, but my teacher? Power in itself is not bad. Power used ethically stabilizes life. So much of life is like a fire that will go out unless it is carefully and faithfully tended. Power used like this is life-affirming, not life-negating. But you could not imagine a world in which your throne was not at the center. Your imagination was too small for the divine possibilities unfolding around you. From you, we learn. This is what happens when power forgets why it exists. Oh, Herod, this is your great tragedy. Not the violence you inflicted, horrible as it was, but the life you refused to imagine for yourself. You lived as a prisoner of your own fear. You ruled an empire, but never ruled your heart. You are a missed opportunity, a tragedy. So let me end by saying this, Herod, in the hope that those listening may hear it more clearly than you ever could. You spent your life defending a throne that was never really yours. You surrounded yourself with walls and weapons and whispered plots. You mistook control for security. You mistook fear for wisdom. You mistook violence for strength. But the child you feared, the one who slipped through your grasp, grew into a man who said again and again, "Do not be afraid." Not because danger disappears, but because fear does not have to be the master of our lives. Because Herods come and go, but hope keeps being born. Because tyrants fall, but courage rises. Because even in a world trembling with uncertainty, love can still take flesh in the smallest, most unexpected places. So, Herod, thank you for your warning. Thank you for showing us what happens when fear governs the heart. Thank you for reminding us that every age has its Herods, and that we must decide whether we live in their shadow or under the light of a star. And may all who hear this letter today remember, you do not have to let the Herods of the world define your imagination. You do not have to let fear dictate your story. You do not have to give your mind or your heart or your hope to those who thrive on panic. Something new is being born, always. Guard that place. Nurture that place. Protect that place. For the world is always standing on the brink of Bethlehem, and the light Herod tried to kill keeps rising, always rising. Sincerely yours, Anthony. It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth, go all goodwill, from heaven the news we bring. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Still through the cloven skies they come, with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music floats o'er all the weary world. Above its sad and lowly plains they bend on hovering wing, and ever o'er its babel sounds the blessed angels sing. But with the woes of war and strife the world has suffered long, beneath the angels' strain have rolled 2,000 years of wrong. And we who fight the wars hear not the love song which they bring. Oh, hush the noise of battle strife, and hear the angels sing. For lo, the days are hastening on, by prophets, bards foretold, when with the ever-circling years comes round the age of gold, when peace shall over all the earth its ancient splendors fling, and the whole world give back the song which now the angels sing. They sing, peace on earth, goodwill to all. Let it be a seed planted in our hearts. Let us nourish it with our attention and our courage, because the world can feel set, hardened by history, loud with strife, sealed like concrete. And yet, even a small seed can split the pavement and find the light. Be that seed.
Please join with me as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we meet again.